Welcome back to the Gfinity Arena in London for the Play Like a Legend season finals presented by Xbox One. I'm here with the boys, Spence, Chris. We're halfway through sort of Group B. We're getting ready for Brian and Tass, which I think is going to be hopefully a little less cagey than Brian's last game. But you know, we're halfway through the competition now-ish. But it's going all right. We've seen some decent games and some decent stuff.
Definitely. I mean, I think, yeah, when the tournament opened with what was Group A, with who's Gorilla scoring goals left, right and centre, you know, it was always going to be hard to follow that.
Yeah.
And that game, it was a tentative affair between Brian. He did come out on top. Arguably, he was quite lucky to do that. This game against Tass is going to be interesting for a number of reasons. I'm looking forward to seeing Tass's team.
Right.
Because for the last few tournaments, he's always had the best team on paper.
Right.
But he's never really lived up to that, the pressure that brings. He's only got out of the group, I think, on one occasion, and he's played in every tournament. However, and I think he's been in the group with Brian before, and I think Brian's beaten him in the group before.
Okay.
So there's a little bit of history there. He's a good player, Tass, but Brian has just shown that he can win when he doesn't play well.
Right.
So if Brian turns up for this game, Tass could be in trouble. So he needs to really bring his A game.
Well, let's see if he can do that. We've got the bracket up for you. Let's have a little look at the bracket. So you can see there. So it's Brian versus Tass, and then in the lower bracket we're going to see Giggsy versus Anthox to see who will have at least one more chance of surviving. But we won't be long. It won't be long, sorry, now until we get into the game. And like you were saying before, Spence, you know, Tass comes with a pedigree, comes with a reputation, you know, built probably mainly in the head-to-head sort of competitive scene rather than the ultimate team. So still maybe a little bit fresh into it. But Chris, you know, you've seen Tass sort of up close and personal play before. You know, he's a talented guy. Is now the time for him to really show what he's made of?
He's really let himself down in some of the previous tournaments. So, and it's weird to see because compared to FIFA 14, where he finished first at our first ever FIFA event, he finished third at G3. So to watch him be at the top of his game and in some of these tournaments this year not perform quite to the same extent, it's been a little bit disappointing for him. And obviously, as you said, he's always got the best team, the best looking team on paper. And for him to come out with a team like that and not really use it to its full extent, I'm sure he's going to be a little bit disappointed with himself. And I'm sure he's been having a word with himself. This is obviously the last FIFA event we've got this year for this season. And I'm sure he wants to go out with a bang. And I'm sure he's been doing his homework. There's a lot of guys here like Brian, for example. He's had a tough time taking on Brian in previous times. And Brian, a little bit out of practice, he said to me in his interview.
I found that quite surprising that he comes to season finals and lack practice. Now,
it's time for people to, you know, take charge. Obviously, he was one of my favourites to going into this, and now it's his time to actually capitalise on that opportunity. He's obviously been at home practicing a lot. I know he plays a lot of FIFA on our online platform, so it's time for him to come forward and actually take control of the situation.
Good stuff. Well, will he do it? Who knows? Is Brian going to progress as expected, as he's one of the favourites, or is Tass going to come of age? As Chris was saying, if you do want to take part, the best place to do that is our website, gfinity.net. It's free to sign up and take part, so make sure you do that. Tell your friends, and also make sure you're following us on all the various sort of social media channels. You should be able to see them below your screen now, beautifully modelled by.
You see that Rafa Benitez thing? He does that on the Sky. I was trying to do that, but I mistimed it. I'll get it later.
Spencer Benitez. Good stuff. Yeah, we're filling all sorts of roles here and becoming different personalities throughout. So I personally can't really. I mean, I can't see a shocker. I think Brian will probably maybe shock himself into gear. He said he was starting to get back into, or I think, Chris, sorry, you asked him whether he was starting to get back into sort of more of a natural play style. Was he starting to pick up some momentum, even if he does lack practice? Do you think that being able to play straight away, plus the seriousness of this game, plus who he's playing against, will shock him maybe into actually playing well and putting in a good performance?
Yeah, I think that game for him was probably more of a warm-up. Obviously, we saw he had a number of opportunities he didn't take. He got lucky on a number of occasions. He's probably thought about this game long and hard. Maybe didn't take the first one as seriously. And it's for Spencer in his first game as well that we saw. The first game wasn't the prettiest from him, but he did score a lot of goals. And then coming into the second game, fixed up his performance, had a much better showing and a much better performance. And I think it's going to be the same with Brian. He's probably shake the cobwebs off, and he's going to come into this next game full firing and Tass. I think he's going to have a trouble against him.
Okay, and Spencer, do you think this is going to be one full of goals or another cagey affair?
I think we're looking at a more of a cagey affair, sort of possession-based players. But one thing you've got to say is that shot we saw a minute ago of them sitting in the booth, Tass is looking very relaxed. Now, that's the signs of someone that has been there and done that. He's not by any means his first tournament. You know, he's played in every single one of these Ultimate Team tournaments, let alone all the head-to-head stuff before. Look at him slouching in there.
He's chilled.
You know, he's not feeling the pressure. And then we should also add, you know, he did win his first game 3-0.
Yeah.
We don't know a lot about Epsilon Antok, so we don't know how hard his opponent was. However, we do know that he's in good form. He's come into it. He's feeling positive. He's forgetting about all those past tournaments. He hasn't done well. He's won his first game. And if you're going to pick a time to peak, like Olympic athletes who time their their best game to come at the Olympics, this is the one. The other events, there were some great prizes, but it's basically been doubled for this one. This is such a big
That's a really good point, actually.
So if he turns up now, then he's going to have the last laugh.
This is I mean, it's at this point that people remember, isn't it? It's I won the season finals. I'm the ultimate team champion because I peaked at the right time. Could that have been maybe some clever preparation? Who knows? So don't forget, we've got that Green Man Gaming giveaway. That lasts until tomorrow night, midnight. You have a chance to pre-order FIFA 16. Sorry, FIFA 16 at Green Man Gaming, and you get 25% off. That's not bad. Nice and cheap. Anywhere else in the world, you won't find a better deal.
I pre-ordered mine in the break.
Did you? Yours is done.
I'm ready.
Just trying to put my hand around it, but I can't get my head around. Where is it?
Your right hand.
Just that's it. That's it.
There
down,
we go.
Down. There we
go. You're like getting ready for a fight. I was like, wow.
For your viewing pleasure, Spencer Owing is caressing. Right, okay, I think that's enough touching up the graphics.
Yeah.
It's time. Will Brian progress as everyone expects, or will Tass finally get his act together and show us what he's made of? Spencer, Chris, take it away.
Here we go then, Chris. Brian versus Tass. England versus France. You're saying with Brian, yeah? Your prediction?
Ooh, I didn't say that. I didn't say I would side with Brian.
Okay.
I think this is probably Tass's game to take. Obviously, with Brian not being fully practiced, I'm sure he's had a good warm-up now in that first game, but Tass he's no joke. I mean, obviously, he hasn't performed to his best ability over the past tournaments, but he is no joke. He's a fantastic player in his own right, and that's why he's at all of these tournaments. We'll jump into the game and take a look at his team.
Yeah, wow.
What a team that he's got there.
Interesting. He's gone with three legends in the exact same positions as Spencer's legends, and two of the same players, Vieira and Blanc. The only difference is the fact that he's gone with Bremer instead of Roberto Carlos at left back. He's got a couple of the Footy pink cards in there as well. He's got some nice players. He's always has a good team, Tass. He just doesn't always do it justice. But this could be his day. And it's important to reiterate, this is essentially, we're just going to be going back into the game there, lost connection. This is essentially a knockout game. Not knockout, if you lose, you're not out, because you get another go. But if you win, you are through.
Yeah.
The winner of this game is going through. So
there's a lot on the line, right?
Exactly. It's a guaranteed spot in the knockout round. Not only that, it's a favourable draw, right? So he's going to play someone that's not done as well in another group.
So, yeah, obviously, so far we've already got Marlet, who's come through as second place in that Group A. So the champion of this group could face Marlet, which obviously being on paper, bit of a weaker player, considering his position in that group in the bracket. So it's a good opportunity to finish first. You don't really want to have to play that extra game and put a lot of pressure on yourself, and you want yourself an easier draw because obviously third and fourth get, I believe, $1,500 each for their position. 1,750 for their position. So that's a lot of money for finishing third and fourth. And obviously, if you get an easy draw going in tomorrow's quarterfinal, you've instantly got yourself that money in the bank, so to speak.
Definitely. What do you think of that front three that Tass is using? He's got Ronaldo on the left, Griezmann up top, and Bale on the right. A lot of pace.
Yeah, absolutely. He's actually switched it up as well now, I believe.
I think that was Brian's team.
Was that Brian's team? Okay. So, yeah, it is an incredible team. Like, that strike force is immense. It's very hard to combat against. Obviously, with Griezmann's pace and his overall abilities, team of the season, Griezmann. We've also got regular Ronaldo, who's basically a team of the season card in itself, whether it's normal or not. And obviously a footy Gareth Bale monster in all areas of the pitch. It is a formidable attacking force, and I'm sure it's going to be one that Brian's going to struggle to come up against. Obviously, out of practice, needs to make sure he puts in a good defensive performance coming into this.
Okay, so we are underway now. Brian versus Tass. Brian playing in the red, I think it's the England kit, and Tass, and Brian in the Brazil kit. Brian always plays in the Brazil kit. I've noticed that about him. Okay.
Yeah, he's got a flair about him.
There you go. Carl Walker. A lot of English players actually in this team for Tass in the England kit. Bremer, the legend, at left back. He's an interesting legend, this one. A nice addition at left back. you know, there wasn't a left-back legend in FIFA 14, and then suddenly there's two, Roberto Carlos and Bremer.
It's like Christmas.
Exactly, it's like London buses. Switch over to Bremer for Tass. He's going to play it inside to Vieira. And I always find it interesting, people that tend to use legends tend to use as many as possible, which is 3. That is the rule we have in this tournament, 3 legends max. Interesting that you don't see someone using the odd legend. Obviously, part of that's chemistry related because they need chemistry with each other to sort of settle in the team.
We spoke about it before, and they're actually changing it so they get chemistry with everyone by default, but obviously get stronger connections with those who have similar connections to them. So in this game, it is quite hard to get away with just one single legend, especially some of the more unusual ones, or maybe the players who come from countries that aren't well supported in foot so much, such as your Weirs, your Shevchenkos, etc. It can be hard to link them up properly, which is why you might not see too many of them. But obviously with the 2 that he's got with Vieira and Blanc, 2 Frenchmen, obviously loads of great French players in there. Like at the back we've got Mangala, who could easily support those 2. Yep. In goal, you could stick Hugo Lloris as well, another French player. So there's lots of link-ups between those legends, and it looks like he's had no trouble linking those 2. He's actually gone for the 3 legends, which makes life a lot easier, and obviously we know how well legends perform on the game. Unfortunately, if you're on a different format, you might not have experienced the joys of a legend, but let me just tell you, they're definitely something to behold.
I agree wholeheartedly. Okay, so still 0-0 here, 17 minutes. Again, I think we are going to see a slightly slower, tentative approach to this game because Tass is probably renowned as one of the better possession players in the kind of community, and Brian is similarly talented. So I don't think we're going to see action-packed, huge guerrilla-style goals here, but it's going to be a tactical affair. A breakthrough will be hard to come by, but when it is, you know, when someone does achieve it, I expect them to actually get the goal. You know, efficiency is what I'm looking for here.
I think the reason why we maybe haven't seen Tass perform to the extent that we want, like he hasn't progressed to the stages of the tournament we know he's capable of, because when it comes to his possession play, he's extremely good. When the game is 0-0 or really tightly contested, it's easy for him to get going and build something up and work it. But when he comes up against someone who's a little bit more aggressive and he falls behind potentially, it's difficult for him to stick to the kind of style he's playing, and he finds it difficult to get himself into a position where he can bring it back unless he's playing a patient game. And if the patient game for him isn't working, his adaptation to changing the game and being able to put it on its head and make the outcome come to him, he can struggle in that aspect. And I think that's why maybe we haven't seen him quite get to the stages we're familiar with.
Someone asking on the Twitch chat how it's going to work in the knockout rounds. I can confirm that the winner of Group A will be playing the runner-up of Group B, and vice versa. So we already know the winner of Group A and the runner-up of Group A. So the winner of this game will be the winner of Group B. That person will be playing Marlott in one of our knockout games.
It's definitely a favourable match.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely want Marlott over Huge Gorilla, but likewise, Marlott is a semi-finalist in the former tournament. He's no one to laugh at. He's a very good player. So either way, it's tough, and they're going to be tough from the knockout stage onwards. You know, these are very, very good FIFA players we've got here. But the person that comes second in this group will get Huge Gorilla in the knockout, and then Group C and D will be facing off each other once we do those groups later on today.
I think Spencer's really going to be watching this wherever he might be, at home now or back in his hotel room, or he might be down there watching. I didn't actually see, but I know he's always had a bit of a tough time against Brian before, though he's beaten him on occasion. He's also a player that I know he's not particularly fond of playing because of the contrasted style of play that they both have. So he's definitely going to be watching this. He's obviously beaten Tass before, and I know he's beaten Brian before, so either way, he's hoping that either one of these players who does manage to get through, he's going to be ready for. But at the same time, I think they both have very interesting styles that maybe don't quite work for the way that Spencer plays this game. So it's going to be interesting to see which one does go through and how that matchup's going to come tomorrow, because I think if it's going to be a Brian-Spencer showdown, it will be a very, very tightly contested matchup. I think if Tass goes through, I think Spencer's probably got the edge just because of his current form.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with that one. Someone asking again on Twitch chat about Spencer's games earlier. They might have missed his games. How did he get on? He actually won both games 6-3, I believe. So lots of goals. And who did he take on? He took on
Tom Stokes,
Marlott and Tom Stokes. Yeah, so defeated them both 6-3. So yeah, it was very, very convincing, dominating performance from our Season 1 champion. And we've got our Season 2 champion in action here, Brian. Still 0-0. His game with his last game actually against Gwigsy was similarly kind of slow-paced. No goals until the second half of the second leg in that one.
How do you get through that without losing it? Like, the concentration involved in that.
Yeah,
it's incredible. Like, to be at your best, high intensity kind of maximum concentration at this level for that long with no goals. It could really unsettle you, not knowing you've got a cushion to lean on or something to lean on.
Something to chase even.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing with goals, is they change games, like in terms of your outlook. You're right, when the game is 0-0, it's kind of equally tense for both people. No one knows who's going to get the first breakthrough, no one knows how to react to it. There's no game plan to change, etc. It's just getting on with it. And you have to keep that concentration going. You can't up the amount of risks you take necessarily, but you don't want to play it too safe. When you concede, you know, okay, I've got to chase the game, I've got to take some risks. When you score, you know, okay, I can sit back a little bit now. But as long as those goals aren't coming, you're kind of in purgatory, not sure what to do.
See that possession, 62% towards TAS. We're going to see a couple of changes going in the favour of Vitality Brian, as he actually brings on Ibrahimovic. Now, we've seen him throughout the seasons so far in this competition that he always tends to bring on Ibrahimovic at the halftime break, and he always has an impact for him. He is such a big, tall target man, and I think some people tend to neglect how valuable it can be to have such a big guy hold up the play and be able to win those aerial balls, especially if your usual play style's not working. Maybe you could go down the cross, go down the wing and swing in a cheeky cross and see if you can actually head the ball in. It's simple things like that that could really change the game.
David Luiz in there for TAS. Yeah, oh, he's got a chance.
No.
Oh, that's a good save. You know, we saw Brian do this against Gwigsy, give away a fair few chances, but managed to either save them or stop them with his defence. You know, you've got to take your chances against Brian because he does tend to get some late in the game. And if you just watch TAS's build-up play, particularly around the sort of middle of the park, halfway line area, passing so fast, a lot of it one touch. It really is tiki-taka stuff from TAS at times.
He's really good at passing the ball around. It's why he's been at the top of the FIFA food chain for so long, is he's just very good on the ball and moving it and working it around. A nice effort from him, but easily claimed by Courtois. Still 0-0 in this matchup.
Okay, 51 minutes into this first leg match. It's the championship match, if you like, for the group. Whoever wins this game will win Group B between Brian and TAS, France and England. The two kind of most dominating regions in the competitive FIFA scene, the Play Like a Legend tournaments at least, currently. Yaya Toure, been intercepted by David Luiz. Not a player we've seen use a great amount.
No. I think he's probably as much of a liability in the game as he is in real life.
I think that TAS might be using him in midfield, though.
Oh, really? Okay, well, decent shout, to be fair.
Yeah,
he's got very good defensive stats as well.
Exactly.
Although he is a bit of a headless chicken.
Yeah.
You never know what you're going to get with him.
With a lot of hair.
With a lot of hair.
Bremer on the corner here for TAS. Is he going to whip it in? Usually we see people go short on these corners, but TAS seems to be taking his time on this one. Not sure exactly what he's waiting for in there. Okay, he's just changed the taker, is he? Or he's changed the situation. He's changed the kind of way that his players are standing, and it hasn't worked for him. It's gone straight into Courtois' hands. Courtois dropped it to Kyle Walker. Kyle Walker, again, still being used by pretty much everyone at right back. Here's Rooney to Mangala. Mangala to Rooney. Rooney to Ronaldo on this left-hand side for Brian, sorry. With Ibrahimovic now in the middle, he's got an option to cross it in. Oh, he's lost it there, though.
Oh, wow, he's just body-checked him. It's like, get out of my way, I'm Ibrahimovic. Do you know who I am?
This is it's really interesting from Brian. Like, I mean, I know he's not the goal-fest kind of guy that Huge Gorilla is, but we do normally see a little bit more action from him, and I think maybe he might have changed his approach a little bit for this tournament, you know. It maybe wasn't after winning Season 2 and then disappointingly going out of Season 3, maybe he felt that he needed to change his style.
Yeah, it could be he's changing his style. It could. He did say he was out of practice a little bit. He hadn't practiced much since the last tournament, which wasn't too long ago. About maybe a month ago?
Yeah, about a month ago,
About a month ago, and before we saw him playing the ball about so well, and it looks like he's maybe lost a bit of the idea of how to work the ball around. It seems like he's playing very, very passive and safe compared to what we're used to seeing from Brian. Usually we see Brian use a lot of skill moves to break down the defence, which usually work out very well for him. He takes a lot of risks when it comes to attacking. And right now it seems to be a little bit more slow, a little bit more stale in his imagination when it comes to attacking, and it's not quite what we're used to seeing from Brian.
Here's Tass on the ball. If he can get this goal and take a lead, I think he can put Brian on the back foot. Problem is that no one's actually gone up against Brian yet. In fact, Brian hasn't conceded a goal, but nor has Tass. Tass won. They both won their. Tass won 3-0, didn't he? And Brian won 2-0. So they both kept clean sheets. As things stand, we're going to have the second leg starting in 20 minutes, obviously. And if it's still level after that, then it will go to a silver goal and then a golden goal situation. But I think there will be a goal. I'm just not sure who's going to get it. Similar to the Gwigsy game, though, you'd say Tass is kind of a little bit more possession, a little bit more of the game. Absolutely.
I mean, Brian really trying to make something happen. He has got Shikawi and Ibrahimovic on, I believe. So he's looking... It seems a bit weird that he's got these two well, rest in peace, Ibrahimovic, 5-star skills, but now 4-star skills. But he has got Shikawi, who's also got 5-star skills, and it looks like that maybe he should be utilising that a little bit more, which is why he's actually got them. But right now, not really the case. He's playing I think he's just quite content to wait it out. It's an interesting approach from Brian, because usually we're used to a lot of flair, a lot of boasting in his gameplay, and he's not afraid to try things, and he can usually make a goal from ridiculous situations. But right now it's very methodical, very well thought out. It's just a great defensive display, and apart from that one near opportunity, hasn't been a lot to talk about from Tass's opportunity. And I think this is also a problem we've had with Tass in the past. Is last time I saw a game where he came up at almost like a mirror match. The last time I saw it was against Ty Walton, obviously DigniTass player as well. They both play fairly similar possession type styles, and I don't think Tass can quite compete with someone who's got a similar play style to him. He almost thrives off people who play a completely opposite game style, because it gives him a lot more freedom to play the way he plays. And when you come against someone who plays the way you play, it can be really boring and almost disappointing.
Just as a quick update, it's currently 1-0 to Gwigsy against Epsilon Anthox in the other game, but he's also just won a penalty. So I'll let you know who scores there. I think he might be about to double his lead, though, and Epsilon Anthox not having a good time of it. And I think that kind of gives us a bit more of an idea of what Tass had to do in that first game. You know, maybe he wasn't up against the most, dangerous of competitors, because for me, the big problem with Tass is that he's great dominating games, possession-wise, but he just doesn't score enough goals. No, not an Ultimate Team, anyway. I think he's used to maybe a head-to-head situation where he gets on top and sits on it. In Ultimate Team, there's just a lot of goals normally, and so I just don't think that outlook kind of works. And maybe I'm wrong, but for me, yes, he got 3 goals in his first game, but Epsilon Anthox doesn't seem to be having a great day at the moment. He's not scored a goal yet. He did save that penalty, but he's still 1-0 down against Gwigsy. And I think Brian, I think he's going to win this game. I think he's going to come through and get a goal unless Tass can really take his chances.
I completely agree with you there. I mean, with the way that things are going, it's not looking good for either player. You don't really know who's going to get the goal. It looks like they're just content to see a 0-0 all the way till the eventual penalties. That if for some reason it ends up being a draw throughout not only this game, the second leg, but
well, it can't go to penalties. It will just be golden goal.
In the silver goal and the golden goal, once you eventually, I think right at the very end, you eventually come down to penalties, don't you?
You can't do that in Ultimate Team.
But what I'm saying is,
on the friendlies,
can you not?
No, it would just stay golden goal until someone scored.
Fair enough.
Anyway, that is the end of the first leg. So 0-0 there. Brian's second time he's gone 0-0 after one leg. Is he going to come through and deliver like he did last time against Gwigsy? Or is Tass going to take it? Like I said, I think Tass, he can control the pace of the game. They're having a little bit of friendly banter in there. Like they obviously know each other's setup. They've played a few games with each other, but behind the smiles, they're taking this seriously, aren't they?
I think they are taking it seriously. I think they're just having a discussion about the actual game itself. I think it's fair to say that these guys are not exactly in their element, although FIFA is quite a similar game across the game modes. Ultimate Team, at the end of the day, mechanically is quite different to head-to-head, and these guys are so used to playing head-to-head for so many years now and having the first ever Ultimate Team competition. These guys have maybe not picked up all the tricks of the trade, and they're just relying on their general FIFA skills and knowledge to get them by this. Obviously, me and you who play Ultimate Team so much, we know the ins and outs of Ultimate Team and how it works. We might not necessarily have the skill these guys to back it up, but we know what works and what doesn't work and how to get the best out of the game. And maybe for these guys, it's not quite the same.
Yeah. Well, the second leg will be loaded up soon, just getting it ready there. But it is interesting to see how much they are discussing, because for me personally, I'd like to do most of my talking when the game's happening, tactically. You know, if anything, to try and we don't see a lot of it, kind of the equivalent of like sledging you get in cricket. You don't see a lot of it in the competitive scene. But these guys are talking a lot off camera, or not off camera, but in between games. So it shows a little bit of camaraderie there. But do you want to be that close? Like, maybe save the chatting till after the game, I think. Come on, you're in a competitive situation here. It's not a mother's meeting.
I don't know. I guess it depends on the actual person itself. When you're in a competition format and these guys know each other so well, they've known each other for years, they play against each other all the time, online, offline, it doesn't change a lot. And I've seen it over a numerous amount of different titles. You do kind of build up a friendship, so it's hard to kind of put that away. It's like if you were at home playing one of your mates, you know, you give it all the banter and chat and all that stuff, and it's quite funny.
Different scenario though. This is a competitive. I mean, it's like in football when you see all these guys like hugging each other and like high fiving, like a goalkeeper patting a striker on the back after he's just saved his shot. It's like, no, leave all that stuff till after the final whistle. You know, remain. That's how I see it anyway. I think you just need to keep your competitive approach, you know, consistent, but it's whatever works for those guys. It could be a tactic, could be, you know, Tass saying to Brian, "Oh, I'll get him friendly, get him to like me," and then bang, pounce on him.
What the ultimate betrayal?
Yeah,
like when he's got his back turned, just to smack him over the head with the controller.
I mean? Just kind of relax him, make him think, "Oh, Tass is a nice guy. This is all a bit of fun, isn't it?"
Tactics.
And then Tass is actually going, "No, I'm going to be ruthless. Here's my shot. Here's my goal.
Here's a controller around the back of the head."
Hopefully not. But let's not forget, guys, this is, you know, the winner of this game is guaranteed to go through. The winner of this game is playing Marla instead of potentially Huge Gorilla. Okay? That's a big difference. No disrespect to Marla, is more than capable of winning. Went to the semi-final last time. But Huge Gorilla is many people's tip for the tournament. You do not want to play him in the quarterfinals.
Not in the streak that he's been having, like the form he's in.
12 goals in 2 games.
That's incredible. I struggled to score 12 goals in 12 games.
Yeah. So that's a lot of goals.
Yeah, that's a lot of goals.
To be fair, he conceded 6 goals in 2 games as well, so he's a bit leaky at the back. But these guys aren't creating a lot of chances. That makes me think they're going to score a lot past Spencer. We have seen Brian beat Spencer before. It'll be a great result for Tass if he can get the win here, because like we said, he has struggled in previous tournaments quite a bit, despite having a lot of kind of, you know, history in the competitive FIFA and really good teams at his disposal. So he's only 1 goal away from a really good upset.
I mean, it is literally going to take just stuff to go someone's way at one point. Just a couple passes and you're through on goal and you're in. I think maybe one of these guys needs to change up the formation, switch it up a little bit. They need to have something a little bit more in their locker, because as much as we like to sit here and say that, oh yeah, play your own game and it will eventually work out, it might be the case that it doesn't work out. And then I don't think any of these guys want to go to a silver goal opportunity where it only takes one small mistake to completely change the game. And maybe I haven't got the actual point or the opportunity to do anything about it. You might run out of time.
Yeah, definitely. Don't forget, guys, while you're watching all the action today, you can get in touch with us on our social channels, which are below me now, on Twitter and on Twitch. Let us know who you're supporting. Let us know what you think of the action. You know, we've got the Twitch chat open here. I can see and read some of the comments out. Let's see what some people are saying here, shall we? Anything? A lot of nonsense, I'm not going to lie to you. But a lot of people supporting both people. There's a lot of French people supporting Brian. You know, the French support is strong.
Absolutely. I mean, the thing is, the French are incredible when it comes to esports in general. I've seen it across a number of games. They are so supportive in the gaming scene. It's actually really good to see. Like, people who go to other events, the crowds, the backing behind them, enormous, immense. Like, the atmosphere, the boost it will probably give someone like Brian. And obviously, you can't read the Twitch chat from inside the booth, but I'm sure if he saw all the support, he'd be having an incredible time.
Yeah. And how have you been getting on in Martin's quiz, by the way? Because obviously we've seen the quiz in between games. Have you been doing all right?
I think I'm 0 for 3.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting. So I'm through for 3. So.
You just want to throw that in my face?
No. I was just wondering how you were getting on, mate. I mean, you didn't ask me how I got on, so I just thought I'd let you know. But
I didn't realise that was an obligation to ask you how you're getting on.
It's polite, isn't it? Sturridge is starting centre mid for Tass.
Really?
What do you think about that? I think you might have done that before as well. We just kind of didn't pick up on it. But
well, I've seen more obscene things like Remy in centre back. To be fair, so
yeah, that was controversial.
So
to be fair, that wasn't an Ultimate Team thing. Because if that was Ultimate Team, that would have
Yeah.
really affected chemistry. Sturridge, you can convert him to a centre mid, so he can play full chem there. But it's still an interesting choice. You know, he's a striker.
yeah, he should be out in that striker position or somewhere up there, and playing him centre mid. I don't know. It could work out for him. Maybe he's just a little bit conscious about having someone to get back and possibly help defend just with that sheer pace, or possibly he's hoping that he can blitz forward and help support the attacking force and get more strikers on the field. And obviously with Sturridge, he's got some well-rounded stats, especially in the passing department, dribbling. So it could work out very well in that centre mid position.
Well, we'll see. We are underway now in this second leg. Tass in the red, Brian in the yellow. 0-0. One goal will be huge for either team. And whoever wins this match will be winning Group B and playing Marlott in a quarter-final, which is definitely a favourable matchup as opposed to taking on huge Gorilla. Now, here's Brian on the ball. Last time he played, he had a slow start against Griggsy, but second leg, he pulled it out of the bag. Second half of the second leg particularly, getting 2 goals, winning the game. Will we see the same from him here? He certainly started off lively. Wayne Rooney on the ball for Brian. His own player needs to get out of his way. So through ball! It's a miss! That is not a good miss from Sturridge there. Not a good shot, I should say. Yeah, again, that right foot, that weak foot of Sturridge, not that effective.
I mean, the way this game's been panning out, you just expected that to nestle in the bottom corner. It's good to see he didn't get beaten at his near post, because if I was playing, I'd be a little bit upset that my keeper's been beaten at the near post. But fortunately enough, it didn't go in, and we're still locked at this 0-0 stalemate. Now, this is where concentration and maybe a bit of fatigue might be coming into play for Brian right now. I mean, it is tough to sit here for 2 games in a row, settling at 0-0. He's saying he's out of practice, maybe he's not playing very well, but he's not really doing a lot wrong. He might not be having the greatest game up front, but neither are his opponents. So as long as you're not letting in goals, I guess it's okay.
Shout out to Hungry Skipper. Shout out to Jack on Twitch 24 and Ballmeister 1 and the pro that Duzzles all watching on Twitch. And let's not forget Lucky FIFA NL, who's also watching.
Yeah, not as good as Waterfalls are okay.
Waterfalls are very okay. What great name, great name. Okay, still 0-0 here. Brian on the ball in this Brazil kit is dispossessed by Tass. Tass is going to switch it. It's a nice clearance. Sturridge chests it down beautifully in that centre midfield spot. I don't think he's ever played in his life in the real world, but this isn't the real world. This is FIFA.
This is Ultimate FIFA. Ultimate Team FIFA.
Sturridge on the ball. Through ball. Oh, it's cut out by Van Aanholt. Van Aanholt's another player, much like Kyle Walker, very popular in FIFA, but not... Well, he's actually doing a lot worse than Kyle Walker in real life. His Sunderland team have
He's
been...
having an awful shocker.
Very poor thus far. Yaya Toure with the back heel to Ronaldo. Brian on the ball, looking to make something happen. A goal would be big. Wayne Rooney. I must admit, I've been surprised by the amount Rooney's been used by people.
I was thinking that.
I don't rate him in the way that I think some people do in this game.
I was talking to Dave by it, and he was almost saying it's quite surprising how much in the meta he's become for FIFA now, like having him in your squad, because he does have such strength. He has got great passing, dribbling, shooting. He's not the fastest guy, but he's got a decent amount of pace for someone in CDM, and it just means you get so much more going forward out of him. And obviously, if the ball falls to him on the edge of the box, you're going to ping it with Rooney, and it's very likely to go into the back of the net. The amount of goals that when I was sifting through the previous seasons, the amount of long ranges that Rooney managed to score were quite outrageous. He always seems to be bagging a goal from distance. So it seems like something that these guys have picked up on. One person has started a trend, and it's caught like wildfire. And now he's becoming such a staple in the FIFA teams.
Well, it's interesting. It's interesting that so many people use Rooney in CDM because. Oh, hello, chance! Oh no, I was looking at the Twitch. You may wonder why I said chance, because I was watching the Twitch. It was delayed.
Spence, the ball's out for a throw. I don't know where this chance has come from.
I'm losing my mind. No, here's Tass on the ball for chance. That is a chance though, and it's a good block from Brian. Yeah, but okay, let's forget about that. Sturridge on the ball.
Well, Rooney in CDM is a much more viable opportunity than Suarez. Do you remember when we saw Suarez for the first one? What was going on there?
That I don't agree with whatsoever. Yeah, and that's just a waste.
Unless he's going to bite people, I don't think he's going to be able to do the job you want.
Gareth Bale's another one. If you get his, he's got a centre forward in form, and you can obviously convert that straight back to a CDM. That's been used a few times. I get Rooney there a little bit more because he's got a bit more power about him. He's a little bit more robust. But it's interesting though with Rooney because it could actually be art imitating life, or life imitating art, you might say, because I can see that happening later in his career.
Yeah.
This season, he's not scoring a lot of goals up front. He's been given that chance to be the target man for United, and he's not banging them in. So as he gets older, loses a bit of pace, loses a little bit of an edge.
Sit him a bit further back.
That's what will probably happen. We saw that quite a lot last year.
Saw Lampard end up doing that. Although he's still phenomenal at getting forward, he did play a much more defensive role, sat back a little bit more as he lost a bit of pace. Still had the incredible shooting and passing stats that you would expect from someone like Lampard. And yeah, I agree with you. I think Rooney could definitely have that kind of role.
So, nearly half-time in this second leg. We do need a breakthrough, or else we're going to be going to a silver goal. There cannot be a draw. Okay, no draws allowed. Khedira. Oh, hello. Chance for Brian to pounce on it. No, he's got it with his triple legend combination, although I think he might not be playing Laurent Blanc this game. I think he's actually gone with Anua in there instead. Unless that's Laurent Blanc in the other centre-back spot, but it would be weird because he would not be then touching Bremer.
Might have changed it at the start of the game, to be fair.
True, he may have swapped him around, that's very true. But that's another thing, though. That whole theory that if we change it in the game, it doesn't affect chemistry. That's not something that's ever been publicly said by EA. It's not something you see in the tutorial. So where do people get that from?
I think it's just the fact that because you can't actually see the chemistry in game, they just kind of keep the chemistry stats the same. And obviously...
Oh! What a shot from Brian! A chance, another chance! Keeper almost walking it into his own net there, but that was a huge opportunity for Brian to take a much-needed lead with Wayne Rooney there, but denied by the woodwork. Yeah, you were saying about the chemistry?
Yeah, you can't actually see the in-game chemistry, and we all know that players that come off the bench, well, we're pretty sure that all players that come off the bench have full chemistry. So just being able to bring someone on who doesn't really link up with someone, bring them on just before the game starts, and there you go. You can play whoever you want in the position that you want. So it's never been publicly said, but it's almost like one of those things that's we've all kind of know.
The thing is, though, cause sometimes you can have a player on 4, 5, 6 chemistry, and they still have a good game for you. I don't know. I'd love to hear official party line on it, because I don't know if it's definitely true.
Okay.
But I don't know. It's definitely commonly accepted. A lot of people use it, and that's one of the rules we have, the no subs before half-time rule here at the PLALC Legend Championships. Second half is underway. We've seen Ibrahimovic come on. Jakawi's come on as well. Still 0-0. Remember, one goal will pretty much guarantee whoever scores it the winning spot in this group, and a much more favourable draw for the quarter-final, playing Marlot instead of Group A winner, Huge Gorilla. Who do you think, if anyone, is going to get the breakthrough and get the goal, Chris?
I think it's more looking like Brian. He's had the best opportunity so far. He's looking a little bit more dominant when he goes forward. Having said that, he's not had the best opportunities to actually be able to convert them, bar the 1 or 2. And right now, it's not the best attacking play. I think the way these guys are looking to play, they're just waiting. They're going to keep playing their game. Neither of them looking like they're actually going to change it. They don't want to take the risk and be living in regret if they did make a change and it didn't work out. So they're just going to try and play it out, see if one of them can get lucky enough to play the goal. And I think if one person makes a goal, you're going to see some major instant changes happen and occur. And it will just be a case of who actually makes the breakthrough. But Brian on the ball right now, plays it to Shikawi. It falls to Ibra. Ibra is looking for a chance. He's actually going to move towards the wing, plays it back inside. It's a chance.
Go!
Oh, no!
Brian gets it. It's exactly the same as what happened in his first game. He waits till late in the second half of the second leg before he makes his move. Gets the goal. Heartbreak City, population TAS.
He must be gutted right now. Like, that is probably the worst thing to ever happen. That goal was he saw it coming, managed to get rid of the danger, and all of a sudden the ball found its way back in the box, and it was just scrappy defending, and all of a sudden the ball lands to Shikawi, and he puts it in the back of the net, and here comes Tass on the counter-attack, tries to find someone at the back post. David Luiz goes down. It's not going to be a penalty, though. That's
the only problem with it's very contrasting, actually, between playing David Luiz in CDM, a centre mid spot, and playing Rooney in a centre mid spot. Rooney in centre mid spot, you've got someone that's maybe slightly questionable defensively, but great going forward. David Luiz, you've got a centre back who can do the defensive job, but like that, when the ball falls from in the box, he's not necessarily a #1 choice. If that was Rooney, you're laughing. So there is pros and cons, and obviously a normal centre mid, a Ramirez or someone like that, is going to be a little bit good at doing both jobs.
Absolutely, a more well-rounded player for the role that he's actually got. But Brian obviously in the lead now, 30 minutes to go inside this game. This is the second leg, so as it stands, Brian will be going through as the champion of this game, and he'll be playing Marlon tomorrow. Hasn't had two of the best looking games, but he's certainly been able to grind out the results. Let's see if he can do it now. Not long left to be able to get that victory and be the champion of the group stage.
For me, Tass is a very different player when he goes behind. I feel like he needs to take the lead in games, much like he did against Epsilon Anthox, where he won 3-0 in his first match. I don't think he's as effective chasing a lead. I don't think he's got the range of attacking kind of, moves in his repertoire. Whereas Brian, loves it. When he goes 1-0 up, he just turns it on for the fans, like he did against Gwigsy and ended up winning 2-0. So I can see Brian getting another goal here, unless Tass can find something. But one thing is for sure, if Tass does get back in this game, he's only had 2 shots. If Tass does get back in this game, he cannot afford to go behind again. He'd have to go onto the upper, take the upper hand, and get a second goal and try and make it 2-1 to him, and then defend that lead. If he goes behind again, I just don't think he's going to do it.
No, I completely agree. I don't think Tass has really got the capacity to come back. He's not very good at chasing a lead. I think almost going into his next game, although he's probably going to be playing Gwigsy at this rate, as the way the game's going in the other game. It's currently 2-1 in this second leg.
Yeah, I think that's 3-1 in aggregate. I think it's gone full time as well. So Gwigsy has survived, and I think Epsilon Anthox has left us from this tournament now after losing both his games. So baptism of fire for Epsilon Anthox.
Yeah, so I think Tass just needs to maybe come into that next game looking to assert some dominance. Needs to try and be a little bit more aggressive, because, as you said, we don't think he's really quite the same player chasing a lead as he is when he's in front. So if he can get an early lead, he looks like a much more comfortable player. So if he can come into this next game against Gwigsy with an early lead, well, he can hopefully be able to see it out.
Here is Tass on the ball. He needs to make something happen in the next 15-20 minutes of FIFA time. Ronaldo looking for the through ball for Sturridge. It's been paused. Interesting choice to pause that there, because that must have been Tass that paused it.
I think it might have been.
Because he has possession.
Yeah.
So he's paused. Maybe he thought he wasn't going to get onto that ball, to be fair. It wasn't right at his player's feet. What's happening here? Someone's making a change. So you think Tass can get back in this, Chris?
I think it's only going to take one opportunity. So with the way that Tass plays, and I know how capable he is of actually coming back into it, I think that he could well be able to get the opportunity, but it depends on what these changes he's making. He's definitely making some tactical changes. He's actually got hold of the ball as well. Had a decent effort. That would have been a really, really annoying situation had Brian conceded that, because he probably wasn't ready for the restart, and maybe there should have been a communication that the game was going to start back up again. But
see, they're not talking now, are they?
Yeah.
At half-time,
all friends have been lost now.
Between the two games, it was all friends, and they were making plans to play badminton together and all sorts. Now, when Tass is 1-0 down and Brian's 1-0 up and we're going into crunch time, then the smiles are gone, David Luiz on the ball here for Tass. He needs a goal. Patrick Vieira. Got a couple of defensive-minded midfielders in there. He's lacking a little bit of creativity, a little bit of flair, the sort of thing a young John Joe Shelby can offer you,
Let's not get too over the top here.
He's going to be playing for England again soon, mate. Mark my words. Rooney on the ball. Oh, it's a poor pass. It's a free kick. Okay. Well, Brian's just going to look to wind down the clock now. It's a substitution. Balassi is on for Griezmann. Tass has made that change, but if If Brian can put this free kick away, then it's pretty much game over.
Yeah, he's taken off Rooney to bring on Thiago Silva as well, so he's definitely trying to play for the rest of this game to see it out. Let's see what he does with this free kick. It's going to get taken, just goes over. Still 1-0 to Brian, and still in the driving seat. 8 minutes left in this game. Let's see if Brian can hold out for the victory. Not exactly the most attractive way to get a victory, but a victory in his book is a victory nonetheless, and with 15 grand on the line for first place, I'm sure he's not going to complain if he does walk home with the check.
My German's a bit rusty, but 4K Tives has said Wie hat Hano gespielt, which I think has Dr. Ahano played already, and he hasn't. He's going to be coming up later, so stay tuned for that, okay?
I always knew you had the bilingual in you.
Dankeschön.
I bet you were practicing during the breaks.
Yeah, I got my German phrasebook out. It's Ich habe einen Winkelmesser. A protractor, in case you're wondering. Right.
I'd love one of those right now.
2 minutes left. Can TAS get back in this? He needs 1 goal. That's all he needs. It's 1-0 on aggregate after the first leg ended 0-0. He's got the ball. It pretty much has to be now. Gareth Bale to Bremer, the legend. What can Bremer do? Come on, use that space. Look at him go with that beautiful white flowing hair. Oh, he tried to whip it in.
It's like watching a young Spencer Owen right there.
An old Spencer Owen. White hair, hopefully. Here we go. Kyle Walk. Oh, it's Lauren Blanc trying to get into the box. That was tight, you know. But Brian's got the ball. All he needs to do is hold on to it, and he has won Group B. And both the pre-tournament favourites in Group A and Group B have won it, if it stays like this, which is great to see. Well, it's sort of half great to see. I like to see predictions come off, but then I like to see upsets as well.
We love a good upset. I mean, who doesn't love seeing the underdog go through and actually win the tournament or win in matchups that aren't favourable to them? And in this situation, we've seen 2 former Play Like a Legend championships also going through. It's up to Emmy Boost to do one better and make sure that the trio go through. We could see like imagine if we saw an all champions final.
Well, that would be great, but for me, Group C is the one where if we're going to see a shock, it's going to happen, because there is the final whistle, though. Brian has done it. Not necessarily in the most flamboyant of styles, but he hasn't conceded a goal, let's face it, in 2 games. You know, that at this point, Spencer was through, but at this point, Spencer had conceded 6 goals. Brian conceded none. So you could argue, yeah, of course, it's great to see Spencer score loads of goals. It's very entertaining, there's no doubt about that. But is Brian more effective? Because he's actually won, if you put his 2 results together, 3-0 over 2 games. Spencer won 12-6. So, which is better for you? Which is a better demonstration of competitive prowess at FIFA?
You know, watching the first game, I was thinking that maybe it's very favourable in someone like Spencer's case, who can actually go and score goals. But he gets so many goals because he plays so aggressive. Brian is a much more possessive, slower player. He plays to his style and to his speed, and he doesn't like to have the game dictated for him, which is why someone like Spencer struggles against it, because he's so aggressive, wants the ball all the time, wants to score goals, and that is going to actually be an easier matchup for Brian than these 2 games, because he's going to have so much more freedom to have a run of the game. He can control the ball, let Spencer get sucked in. He's going to have a lot more easier opportunities getting in behind and actually attacking. And obviously, he's shaken off a few cobwebs here. So he'll be in a much better position taking on Spencer, not Spencer tomorrow, but if those 2 met in the semi-finals, he would have a much better opportunity taking on Spencer now. And for me, when you're not conceding goals against someone like Gwigsy and TAS, who are 2 incredible FIFA players, but you scored against both of them and kept clean sheets, it doesn't look too favourable for Spencer, leaking in 6 goals.
Well, I mean, that's something that is worth mentioning. In a former tournament, I'm pretty sure we did see Brian beat Spencer. So they've played before, and I think Brian won it. So again, Spencer might have been the more enjoyable one to watch, but don't count Brian out. Likewise, TAS and Gwigsy is going to be another matchup in Group B. The winner of that will go through, and they will be playing Huge Gorilla. So we should talk about that. Who do you think is more equipped at beating Huge Gorilla out of those 2?
I'm going to have to say TAS. I know that TAS is another player that Spencer is not a big fan of playing. So I think TAS, the way that TAS plays the game is going to be more suited to him going up against Spencer. Having said that, with the way that TAS plays, it's tough to kind of fully get behind him, because he plays a good game, but at the end of the day, he's not getting the results that you would expect from him. It's just not coming through for him, and it is a real shame, but he needs more goals. He needs to be scoring more goals. In these crunch time games where they're too even, he's just not getting the goals.
Yeah, and we saw that, one goal in that game against Brighton would have taken it to silver goal. Just one. He just didn't get it. He didn't get enough shots away is ultimately his problem. And I think, we should talk about the fact that it was that tight between him and Brian. Only the one goal was the difference. So Brian is a former winner. Tass is someone that we've said has not delivered before, but he looks like he's getting better. He's just missing that final finishing touch, isn't he?
Absolutely. I mean, in his next games, I would just try and come out a bit more aggressive. Obviously, he's going to know what he wants to do already. He's the FIFA pro, and that's why I'm sitting here at this desk. But maybe try something a bit different. Be a bit more aggressive when you play. Try and get a couple of goals early, because it looks like once he's got a couple of goals, he's a much more controlled player. He's a lot more comfortable in his element that way. But when he's behind, it looks like he struggles to get the game back in his favour.
Yeah. We have seen some good FIFA, and I think it's really good the way Group A and Group B have been different.
Yeah.
Because Group A was goals, it was leaky defences, and you don't, because everyone wants to see goals, you don't necessarily dwell on the weakness and the poor kind of defensive choices that were made in the Group A games.
Yeah.
In Group B, it's easy to complain and go, oh, there's no one scoring, oh, it's 0-0, but you've got to understand the difference in defence. The performance that these guys were putting out defensively was so much stronger than what we saw in Group A. So when those two groups come together, which is what's going to happen in the knockout round, we are going to see some interesting matchups. It's
going to be tight games. It's going to be very, very tightly contested. It's going to be a lot of concentration involved in those games.
Yeah, I can't see. I'm pretty confident we're not going to see Huge Gorilla, if he plays Tass, for example, put 6 past him. No. I'd be really surprised, but you never know. What I can tell you is we're going to have an interview now. Martin is going to be talking to Brian, who's just secured himself Group B victory and a knockout place.
Thanks very much. Thanks very much, Spencer. Brian, congratulations. You're through now to the knockout stages. You're back tomorrow. How does that feel to get that done so early on?
It feels really good because I think it was not my day, really. It was very hard. And when I have to play Tass, I know it will be a very tactic game because he is a player since maybe 4 or 5 years now. And I know it will be very tactic, and maybe people who watch the game can't notice, but it's really hard, and you have to stay focused because one mistake can make you lose the game. So it's really hard, and I'm a little tired of this game.
A little bit tired because you've been concentrating and focusing so hard. I mean, because both of your games were quite low scoring, but you haven't conceded a goal yet, so you've been quite organised.
Yeah, I think against Tass it's always like that. I play him maybe 3 or 4 times in the tournament, and it's always the first who score who win. So I know you have to not take a goal, because if he scores, it's really hard to come back with him.
And so now that you've got the rest of the day off, you're not back until tomorrow, you're just going to go and relax, or will you make sure you're still watching what everybody else is doing?
Oh, I see. I think I will just go eat, and after I have to cast with the French caster, so I will help them, and after I will just cheer for the French guys.
Talking about the French FIFA community, the French, there are some very, very, very talented French players. Where does that come from? Is it the fact that FIFA as a game is very big in France, or what is it that you think actually drives that level of talent in the French FIFA community?
I think maybe Bruce Guanek, because he won many tournaments, and maybe many people want to be like him. Mm-hmm. So it improves the general level in the community. I think it's maybe one of the reasons.
So Bruce was the inspiration. There you go, Bruce. You've inspired a nation. Congratulations, Brian. Congratulations. Enjoy the rest of the day. Enjoy casting. So Brian's going to make his way through to the Sunday. He can relax now a little bit because, like he said, he's tired from focusing. Not surprisingly, he's played 2-1-2 and will join us back for the single elimination bracket tomorrow. We'll be back with more action after this very, very, very short break.
Check this out.